Beneath the restless waves, there lies a secret older than kings and older than time itself. The ocean holds whispers, carried on the tide, weaving songs of mystery through the salt and foam. Legends speak of a throne deep within the abyss, carved not by hands, but by the sea's eternal will. At the heart of that throne rests a pearl, said to be born from the compassion of mighty Poseidon. It is not a jewel of power, but a gift of balance, holding the fragile harmony of all waters. Few have dared to follow the call, for the depths are endless and the silence can swallow the soul. Yet tonight, as the moon shimmers upon dark waters, a new journey quietly begins. The stars draw their paths across the heavens, guiding a voyager toward secrets long forgotten. Her name is whispered by the wind, carried across the waves, a soul chosen by the sea. This is not a tale of conquest, nor of crowns, but of courage and quiet discovery. The abyss waits, eternal and patient, guarding its throne and the pearl that dreams within it. Listen now, for the tide carries us below, where stories breathe and the ocean remembers all. The tide was calm, yet it carried a murmur that lingered like a secret not meant for silence. Lysandra stood at the edge of the shore, her gaze fixed on the horizon where sea kissed sky. She had always felt the ocean was more than water, more than waves, more than endless blue. Tonight, it breathed as if alive, its whispers threading through the air like invisible strands of song. The sound was faint at first, a hum beneath the surface, a melody buried deep in the tide's pulse. Her heart answered before her mind did, sensing meaning in the rhythm no words could explain. The whispers grew clearer, weaving like a lullaby, gentle and beckoning, ancient yet strangely kind. It was not the call of danger, not a lure into darkness, but something softer, almost protective. She leaned closer to the waves, listening, her breath slow as though not to disturb the sound. Every crest carried fragments of voice, layered like chords sung in a cathedral of water and light. The sea seemed to speak, not in language, but in presence, a resonance that touched her bones. She closed her eyes and felt the salt air. And in it, she sensed stories older than memory. Her grandmother had told her that the sea remembers, holding all lives, dreams, and lost names. And now, those stories stirred again, carried by the tide like offerings from forgotten centuries. The whispers wrapped around her name, not spoken, but known, echoing in her chest like truth. She shivered, not from cold, but from recognition, as if she had been expected all along. The wind slowed, the world hushed, and in that silence, the ocean's song became her guide. Lysandra stepped into the foam, her feet sinking into wet sand that pulsed with quiet rhythm. It felt alive, as though the shore itself reached to hold her, welcoming her into its mystery. She whispered back, unsure if she spoke aloud or only in her thoughts. "I hear you." The waves responded, not with thunder, but with gentleness, curling around her ankles like hands. And for a moment, she thought she saw light beneath the water, faint, glowing, like a heartbeat. Her breath caught. The tide carried a sound again, clearer now, carrying shape without words. It was a promise, a vow, something sacred, as though the sea had chosen her to listen. The horizon shimmered, and in her mind, images formed. A throne beneath the abyss, a pearl of light, not treasure, not power, but balance, held together by compassion, guarded in eternal stillness. The whispers told of guardians, not warriors, but keepers who walked between worlds of air and sea. They had vanished long ago, when humanity forgot to listen to the tide and its gentle truth. But the pearl still waited, untouched, dreaming, waiting for a voice to answer the ocean's call. Her chest tightened, not in fear, but in wonder, as though destiny brushed against her shoulder. She looked up at the stars. They flickered like lanterns, guiding shining paths across dark skies. The wind rose, the tide swelled, and she knew this night was not chance, but invitation. For years she had searched for belonging, for meaning, for something beyond the ordinary path. Now, with the sea's voice in her heart, she understood. Her journey was about to begin. She whispered again, her voice trembling yet steady. "Show me." The tide surged in answer, washing higher, wrapping her in its song like a vow fulfilled. Lysandra stepped back from the waves, her heart racing, but her spirit calm with certainty. She did not yet know where the whispers would lead, only that she could not ignore them. The ocean had called, and she had answered. The story of the abyss had chosen its voyager. And beneath the restless waves, the whispering tide carried her name into the eternal deep. The village slept while the sea kept watch, its voice low, carrying the weight of countless forgotten tales. Lysandra walked the narrow streets, her thoughts tangled with the whispers still echoing in her mind. She sought the one man who knew the old stories, the mariner with eyes like storm clouds and voice like tide. His name was Callan, elder of the coast, who had spent more years at sea than most that lived on land. He sat by the fire near the harbor, mending nets, his hands slow, his gaze heavy with memory. When she approached, he looked up, and in his eyes she saw the reflection of waves that never ended. "Child," he said softly, as if her arrival was no surprise, "the tide has called you, hasn't it?" Lysandra froze, startled that he had spoken the truth she had barely admitted to herself. The mariner nodded, his voice low, carrying weight like an anchor dropped into the deep. "There is a legend, older than the stones of this village, older than the names of our fathers." He spoke of a throne that rested at the bottom of the abyss, untouched by hands, guarded by silence. Upon that throne lay a pearl, shimmering with light not of this world, a gift from Poseidon himself. It was not a treasure meant for greed, but a covenant woven into the sea's eternal design. The pearl was shaped from a tear, shed not in anger, but in compassion for the suffering of the waters. It carried harmony within its glow, binding storms and calms, life and death, the endless cycles of tide. Those who held it were not masters, but guardians, chosen to listen and protect, not command. Lysandra leaned closer, the fire's glow flickering against her face, her heart caught in his every word. The mariner's voice lowered, almost a whisper, as though the sea itself listened to his telling. "Many sought the pearl," he said, "but the abyss does not open to hunger, nor to pride. It only opens to those who hear its song, not with ears, but with the truth of their spirit." He looked at her, sharp and kind, as though he had known her destiny long before she had arrived. "You have heard it, haven't you? The tide spoke to you, calling you by name." Her breath trembled as she nodded, the memory of the whispers flooding her chest like rising waves. Callan sighed, not with weariness, but with reverence, and gazed out toward the restless sea. "Then you must know," he continued, "the path is not of conquest, but of surrender to what is unseen. The abyss is alive, eternal, a place where silence is heavier than mountains and light is rare as hope. Yet there the throne waits, and with it, the pearl that keeps the sea from falling into chaos." His words painted visions in her mind, glowing depths, coral gates, guardians moving in endless grace. She felt her soul stir, not with fear, but with longing, as though this story was her own reflection. "Why me?" she whispered, almost too quietly for even herself to hear. Yet he understood. "Because the ocean does not choose the strong or the proud," Kalan said, his eyes glistening. "It chooses the listener, the one who dares to hear what others drown out with noise." The fire crackled between them, sparks rising like stars in the night, mirroring the sea's shimmer. Silence stretched, but it was not empty. It was heavy with meaning, with choice, with destiny. Lysandra felt the weight of his words settle upon her, not as burden, but as calling. The pearl was not an object to claim, but a promise to keep, a vow made to the heart of the sea. She rose slowly, the sound of waves filling the quiet, as though to seal the moment with blessing. Kalan nodded once, knowingly, and turned back to his nets, the firelight dancing across his weathered face. And Lysandra walked into the night, her heart carrying the legend like a lantern against the dark. The whispers of the tide returned, gentler now, no longer a mystery, but a guiding voice of truth. And so, beneath the starlit sky, the Pearl of Poseidon became not a tale, but her destiny waiting. The night gave way to dawn, and the sea stretched vast and endless beneath a pale, golden sky. Lysandra stood on the dock, the whispers still humming in her chest like a heartbeat she could not silence. The village was quiet, but her spirit stirred with a restless certainty that she could not remain here. Kalan's words echoed in her mind, each one sinking like an anchor, binding her to an unseen destiny. She walked toward her small vessel, weathered by storms, yet faithful, carved with care by her father's hands. The boat rocked gently in the tide, as though it already knew the journey awaiting beyond the horizon. She loaded only what she needed: water, bread, a lantern, and a journal where she kept her quiet thoughts. No treasure, no weapon, only essentials. For she knew this voyage was not one of conquest, but of listening. The sea greeted her as she pushed away from the dock, its waves steady, pulling her into the open. The village faded behind her, roofs shrinking, voices silenced, until only the call of gulls remained above. Her hands gripped the oars, yet she felt the tide guiding more than her own strength could command. The current carried her with purpose, flowing like a path laid by unseen hands across the endless blue. She let the wind fill her sail, watching the horizon shimmer as though a veil was being slowly lifted. The farther she traveled, the quieter the world became, until even the birds' cries faded into silence. It was then that the song of the currents began, faint and delicate, like strings plucked in a hidden chamber. The water rippled with tones that rose and fell, not chaotic but ordered, a melody deeper than sound. She leaned close, listening, and felt the music thread itself into her spirit like light through glass. It was not meant to lure, not meant to bind. It was guidance, gentle and steady, urging her forward. Her heart slowed, her breath deepened, as if the rhythm of her body aligned with the rhythm of the sea. Clouds drifted above, pale and slow, their shadows moving across the water like passing guardians. She thought of Kalan's words: "The abyss does not open to hunger, nor to pride." Perhaps this was the test, not of strength, but of trust, to let go and let the sea lead her. The boat tilted with a sudden current, carrying her sideways, not against her, but alongside her will. She held the tiller lightly, not resisting, allowing the strange pull to shape her path across the tide. The song grew clearer now, layered like voices, weaving harmony both bright and sorrowful at once. It was the sound of ages, of countless lives beneath the surface, singing of beauty and loss alike. She closed her eyes and let the song wash through her, feeling both small and infinite in its embrace. When she opened them again, the water shimmered with light, glowing faintly beneath the gentle waves. It was as though the ocean revealed glimpses of its heart, a trail of brightness leading into the deep. Lysandra's chest tightened with wonder, her spirit alight with courage that she did not know she carried. The sail billowed, the bow cut the water, and she followed the glowing path across the endless sea. Every moment stretched long, yet filled with meaning, as though time itself bent to honor her journey. She wrote a line in her journal: "The sea does not command me. It welcomes me as its guest." The words steadied her, reminding her she was not alone, but chosen, guided, protected by the tide. Night crept across the sky once more, stars unveiling themselves like guardians returning to their posts. The current never faltered, carrying her farther from land, deeper into a realm where silence held sway. And beneath that silence, the ocean's song grew louder, brighter, promising that her voyage had only begun. Lysandra rested her hands on the worn wood of her vessel, her heart alight, her spirit unafraid. The journey stretched before her, vast and unknown. Yet she knew she had stepped into her destiny. The sea had claimed her, not as servant nor master, but as listener, and her voyage had only just begun. The sea stretched vast and endless, yet it no longer felt empty. It was alive, humming with secret voices. Lysandra leaned against the mast, her eyes closed, listening to the rhythm that pulsed beneath the surface. The water sang, not with words, but with tones, rising and falling like breaths too ancient to belong to mortals. It was a song of currents, weaving harmony across unseen depths, a pattern written in sound and silence. The melody swirled around her, gentle as wind through reeds, yet deep enough to stir her very bones. She held her breath, afraid to break it, as though even her heartbeat might shatter the fragile music. Every note carried memory, the laughter of waves, the sorrow of storms, the cradle of lives born in salt. The sea revealed itself not as chaos, but as choir, countless voices rising into something eternal. Her spirit swayed with it, carried like driftwood, not lost, but guided by something larger than herself. She whispered into the wind, "I hear you." And for a moment the song brightened, as if in reply. The current shifted beneath her boat, steady and sure, pushing her into waters that glowed faintly below. Shimmers danced, not from stars above, but from hidden light woven into the skin of the sea. The glow pulsed in rhythm with the song, every flicker a note, every current a chord in the vast symphony. Lysandra's breath caught, awe filling her chest as she leaned over the edge to see the glowing path. Beneath the surface, schools of fish shimmered like silver threads, moving as one, painting shapes of song. They darted in patterns too perfect for chance, as though choreographed by the very hand of the sea. She followed their dance with her eyes, seeing spirals, circles, symbols that spoke without language. The fish scattered, then gathered again, their movements echoing the same tune that filled the currents. It was not performance. It was instruction, guidance, a map drawn in light and motion, pointing forward. The current carried her still, faster now, though never harsh, never threatening, only urging her along. Waves rose and fell like the swell of voices, a chorus building toward something unseen, yet inevitable. Lysandra felt her heart match the rhythm, beating not against, but with the vast pulse of the sea. It was as though she no longer steered, no longer traveled. She was part of the journey itself, The stars above mirrored the lights below, constellations reflected in living waters, a sky within a sea. Her world became two heavens, one beneath and one above, with her vessel balanced in their embrace. The song shifted suddenly, softer now, carrying undertones like whispers hidden in the melody. She leaned closer, her skin prickling as the notes wrapped around her name, woven into the harmony. The sea was speaking to her, not to humanity as a whole, but to her spirit, her listening heart. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sorrow but from recognition, as though she had found a missing piece. The whispers promised nothing of riches or glory, only belonging, only the truth of her chosen path. She wrote in her journal, "The sea does not test me with fear. It teaches me with song." The words felt light on the page, yet weighty, as though carried by the very tide itself. Her lantern flickered, but she did not fear the dark, for the glowing waters lit her way better than flame. She lay back for a moment, letting the boat drift, her ears filled with music older than stone. Above, the constellations shimmered like watchful eyes, and below, the sea burned with gentle fire. The current pulled once more, stronger this time, guiding her toward a horizon veiled in shimmering mist. Lysandra did not resist, for she knew the song would never lead her astray. It had chosen her. And so she sailed on, heart and vessel carried together by the singing currents of the eternal deep. The mist thickened as Lysandra's vessel drifted deeper, a veil that hid the sea and sky alike in silver haze. She reached out her hand, touching the damp air, feeling it cling like threads spun from unseen fingers. The horizon vanished, swallowed by the shroud. Yet she felt no fear, only the song humming steady within. Each note rang clearer now, guiding her steps without land, without compass, without any mark of direction. The water below glowed faintly still, a hidden light threading a path beneath the rolling mist. She leaned close to the edge, watching faint shapes shimmer far beneath, too vast to name or measure. Sometimes it seemed the light bent, forming spirals that pulsed in rhythm with the ocean's secret song. Her heart kept time with it, steady, calm, as though she were a part of an orchestra beyond mortal reach. The air grew warmer, heavy with salt, and the mist swirled like a living thing around her vessel. It whispered as it moved, echoing faint voices she could not grasp, words too old to be understood. She closed her eyes and listened, hearing not language, but emotion, longing, memory, and gentle welcome. It was the same feeling she had when the sea first called her name, both strange and deeply familiar. She whispered back, "I am here." And the mist shifted, parting slightly as if answering her call. Through the opening, a shape emerged, tall and faint, like pillars rising from the sea itself. They glowed with pale blue light, their surfaces carved with flowing patterns like the current's own handwriting. She gasped, for they were not stone nor coral, but crystal towers rising from the depths in silence. The boat drifted closer, drawn by the current, and the towers sang with deep tones like bells in the wind. Each vibration passed through her chest, stirring her soul, making her feel both weightless and eternal. The structures were countless, stretching beyond the mist, forming a cathedral beneath the open sky. Her vessel slid into their midst, dwarfed by their luminous beauty, as though entering a sacred temple. She reached for her journal, her hand trembling, writing, "The sea builds its sanctuaries, not with hands, but with song." The words steadied her, even as awe threatened to overwhelm. For she knew she had crossed into the hidden. The current stilled at last, leaving her vessel floating in the center of a vast circle of light. The mist lifted slightly above her, revealing stars that shimmered brighter, aligned directly over the towers. It was as though sea and sky mirrored one another, forming a bridge where both realms touched as one. In that silence, the song grew tender, layered with voices that seemed almost human, almost close enough to speak. She heard laughter like flowing water, sorrow like a tide withdrawing, hope like waves breaking into dawn. Her eyes stung with tears, for the voices felt like kin, not strangers, echoing truths her soul already knew. She pressed her palm to the wooden hull, whispering thanks, though no answer was needed, only listening. The sea was not demanding worship, not seeking devotion. It offered belonging, harmony, and eternal remembrance. The towers pulsed once more, sending ripples through the water, each wave carrying patterns like written words. She leaned forward, watching as they converged around her vessel, forming circles like pages of a book. It was not warning, not threat, but invitation, a summons to step deeper into the ocean's eternal archive. Her breath quickened, her heart swelled, yet her fear dissolved in the presence of so much patient grace. The song rose once more, strong and unyielding, and her spirit knew without doubt this was only the threshold. She lifted her eyes to the mist, now thinning into light, and whispered, "I will follow." The current stirred again, carrying her vessel forward beyond the crystal towers into the uncharted heart of the sea. And as the towers faded behind, their song lingered, a blessing, a promise, echoing in her soul forever. The sea opened wider as Lysandra sailed beyond the crystal towers, the mist fading into a horizon of light. The air shifted, warmer and gentler, carrying scents of salt and something sweet, almost like blossoms unseen. Her vessel drifted with ease, guided by a current that felt deliberate, like hands carrying her forward. Beneath the surface, the glow deepened, tracing shapes that swirled in graceful arcs across the ocean floor. She leaned over the side, watching as glowing trails weaved into vast patterns she could scarcely comprehend. They were like constellations, but beneath the water, vast maps written not in stars, but in living light. The sight filled her with awe, a reminder that the sea itself carried memory older than time. She whispered, "Is this the path?" And the glow shimmered brighter, as if nodding in quiet affirmation. The wind stirred gently, filling her sail, pushing her vessel further along the glowing design. Her journal lay open beside her, pages filled with her hand, though each word felt borrowed from the sea. She wrote, "The ocean does not forget. It writes in light where no eye can see." The more she stared, the clearer the patterns became, shifting from spirals to symbols, almost like language. They pulsed softly, each curve glowing in rhythm with the endless song still carrying through the water. Her chest tightened, for she realized these were not random shapes. They were messages waiting to be read. She traced a finger across the air, mimicking the curves, and the song swelled in quiet response. It was as if the sea approved, guiding her hand, teaching her to echo its hidden alphabet. She felt humbled, a child at the feet of a great teacher, learning truths not meant for pride. Her mind did not understand fully, but her spirit resonated with the harmony in each symbol's glow. The vessel drifted slower now, giving her time to watch, to listen, to let the sea instruct. Hours passed unnoticed, each moment blending into the eternal rhythm of the glowing currents. The symbols began to align, forming circles, spirals, and lines that stretched into infinity. It was a map, not of places, but of meaning, guiding her deeper into the ocean's eternal design. She knew without doubt that Poseidon's pearl The throne of the abyss lay somewhere beyond this script, not as treasure, not as conquest, but as part of the sea's great memory, hidden yet waiting. Her spirit stirred with both awe and weight, for she felt chosen not to find, but to listen. The sky darkened once more, stars rising in clear brilliance, reflecting the glowing shapes below. For a moment, she could not tell which world was above and which was beneath. Both mirrored eternity. She reached for her lantern, though its flame seemed dim beside the living brilliance of the sea. Her hands trembled, not with fear but with reverence, as though each moment here was sacred. She breathed deep, filling her lungs with salt and silence, letting the harmony settle into her chest. Her thoughts quieted, her doubts faded, and only belonging remained, woven into the song of the deep. The current stirred again, gentle yet insistent, guiding her vessel along the luminous patterns. She pressed her palm to the wood of her boat, whispering thanks for its steady companionship. The glow beneath stretched further, leading her onward, promising more secrets yet to be revealed. And though she was alone upon the sea, Lysandra did not feel solitude. She felt surrounded, embraced. The song lifted once more, tender and infinite, and she knew the ocean had only begun to speak. The current carried Lysandra onward, steady as a heartbeat, pulling her deeper into the ocean's hidden design. The glowing paths beneath grew brighter, weaving together like rivers of light flowing into a greater whole. She watched in awe as they converged, forming a spiral vast enough to fill the sea beneath her vessel. It pulsed slowly, each turn alive with rhythm, like the breathing of something ancient and eternal. The song deepened too, no longer just melody but harmony layered with countless voices rising and falling. She placed her hand over her chest, feeling her own heart join the rhythm. Steady, surrendered, unafraid. The air grew still, as if the world itself was listening, waiting for her to take her next step. Her vessel rocked gently, caught in a circle of currents, no longer drifting aimlessly, but held in place. The spiral below expanded outward, its edges glowing brighter, as if preparing to reveal something vast. She leaned over, straining to see, and the waters opened, the glow sinking downward into great depths. It was a passage, not carved by hands, but written in light, inviting her deeper into the ocean's core. Her breath caught, for she knew instinctively this was no ordinary place. It was a threshold of the abyss. She whispered, "I am ready," though her voice trembled, and the current responded by guiding her vessel forward. The spiral turned faster, its light forming streams that pulled her into the center of the glowing gate. The song swelled around her, carrying not only beauty but gravity, weight, as though truth approached. She felt her vessel tremble, not in danger, but in reverence, as if wood itself knew where it was. Her lantern flickered once and went out, but she did not reach for it, for she did not need it. The sea lit her path, brighter now, and the stars above aligned into the same spiral mirrored below. For a moment, she existed between two infinities, the sky above and the abyss beneath, both singing. Her heart swelled with awe, and she whispered to herself, "There is no above or below, only one." The spiral drew her deeper, its center opening like an eye, vast and calm, watching her without malice. She closed her eyes, letting the current take her, trusting fully, surrendering not to power, but to harmony. The water around her vessel darkened, yet the glow beneath pierced through, guiding like a gentle flame. her ears filled with voices. Softer now, as if speaking directly, not to all, but to her alone. She could not hear words, yet she understood. The ocean had always known her, even before her birth. The realization struck her with gentle weight. She was not chosen by chance, but by memory, older than time. She belonged here, not as queen, not as conqueror, but as listener to the eternal hymn of the abyss. Tears slid down her face, not of sorrow, but of recognition, for this was the home her soul had sought. The spiral narrowed now, carrying her into the heart of the glowing passage. Slower, more deliberate. She leaned over, watching as the shapes beneath shifted, forming new patterns, ones she had never seen. They were not maps, not symbols, but stories, living history etched into the sea with light and song. She saw great waves rise and fall, stars born and fading, and the endless turning of seasons eternal. The abyss was not empty. It was full of memory, holding all that was ever lost, never forgotten. Her spirit trembled with humility, yet steadied with peace, knowing she was allowed to witness it. The current slowed at last, leaving her vessel poised at the very heart of the spiral's glowing center. Silence fell, not absence, but fullness, the kind that holds breath before a sacred revelation. She waited, hands still, eyes wide, ready for what would come, knowing this was the edge of destiny. And in that vast pause, Lysandra understood. The abyss was not darkness, but memory, eternal and unbroken. Her journey was no longer about reaching an end, but about learning to listen to the sea forever. Lysandra drifted in silence, her vessel steady at the heart of the luminous spiral, where time seemed to dissolve. The glow beneath her flickered and shifted, forming new shapes like whispers written in light across the dark water. She leaned closer, eyes wide, as the patterns revealed themselves as images of places she had never seen. Coral towers rose from the depths, shimmering with life, their colors brighter than any she had known. Giant whales swam in endless arcs, their songs weaving into the chorus that filled the abyss with sound. She gasped as she realized she was seeing the past, moments held forever in the ocean's vast memory. The sea was not just alive, it was a keeper, a storyteller, guardian of every tide and every breath. Her heart swelled with reverence, for the ocean was not merely water, but an endless archive of existence. The voices rose again, softer this time, as if guiding her to listen not with ears, but with her spirit. She closed her eyes, and the visions deepened, flowing directly into her mind like streams of pure memory. She saw ships long forgotten, swallowed by storms, their sails torn but their journeys preserved in luminous echoes. She saw children laughing on distant shores, their joy carried into the waves and kept within the abyss. No sound, no cry, no whisper was ever truly lost. The sea carried them, eternal, without decay or end. Tears touched her cheeks again, for she realized the ocean had been listening long before she had arrived. It knew every secret, every sorrow, every joy, and yet it judged none. It only remembered and sang. The spiral pulsed brighter, its light warming her face, and the song deepened into chords rich with harmony. Her vessel rocked gently as if cradled, and she felt her fear dissolve into trust, her soul anchored. Then the light shifted again, gathering into a shape rising from the depths, slow, deliberate, immense. She held her breath as it approached, its glow stronger than the stars, a figure of grace and power. It was not beast nor phantom, but something vast, an embodiment of the sea's will given form. Its body was translucent, woven from light and current, yet its presence filled the abyss with solemn gravity. Lysandra bowed her head instinctively, not from command, but from awe, for she knew this was no ordinary vision. The voices fell silent, leaving only a single note, low and steady, echoing from the figure itself. It was the hymn of the abyss, distilled into one sound, resonating with her very heartbeat in perfect rhythm. She whispered, "Are you the keeper?" And though no words came, she felt an answer ripple through her being. Not keeper, not ruler, but guide. The sea needed no throne, no crown, only memory eternal. The light pulsed once, and in her mind a pearl appeared, glowing softly, carried within the figure's form. She gasped, for this was the Pearl of Poseidon, not treasure of power, but heart of remembrance. It shimmered with countless colors, each hue a memory, each glint a life carried by the eternal tide. The figure leaned closer, and though it had no face, she felt seen, recognized, woven into the abyss. She stretched out her hand, trembling. Yet the pearl did not pass to her. It remained, glowing in silence. And in that moment, she understood. It was not hers to claim, only hers to witness and honor. The pearl was not possession, but truth. The ocean did not give its memory away. It shared for a moment. Her heart steadied, filled not with desire, but with humility, for she now carried its song within herself. The figure's glow dimmed slowly, folding back into the spiral, yet the memory of the pearl remained in her. The abyss returned to silence, yet it was not empty. It was alive within her, carried in every breath. Her vessel floated still, the spiral fading, but she knew she was forever changed, forever joined to the sea. Lysandra whispered into the stillness, "I will remember." And the water rippled once in quiet acknowledgement. And though the light faded, her path ahead shone clear, not in sight, but in spirit, eternal and unbroken. The silence after the vision lingered, heavy yet gentle, as if the sea itself was giving Lysandra space to breathe. Her vessel floated steady, untouched by waves, resting in the calm heart of the abyss like a cradle of eternity. She placed her hand on the wood beneath her, feeling its warmth, as though even the vessel carried the memory. The glow of the spiral faded slowly, dissolving into shadow, but the song still resonated within her soul. It was not sound now, but echo, vibrating through her chest, carrying the rhythm of tides older than stars. She closed her eyes, listening, and found that even silence was not absence, but presence, full and alive. The abyss had revealed its heart, yet she sensed her journey was far from finished. More remained to unfold. Her breath was steady, her mind open, her spirit softened into humility before the endless story of the sea. She whispered to herself, "The pearl is not mine, but its memory belongs in me, and I will carry it." The waters stirred gently, as if agreeing, a ripple that passed across the surface like a nod of trust. She lifted her gaze upward, where the stars still formed the spiral above, a mirror to the depths below. It struck her then that the ocean and the sky were not separate realms, but reflections of the same vast truth. Every wave mirrored a constellation. Every constellation mirrored a wave, eternal partners in the dance of being. Her heart swelled, for she was no longer lost at sea, but embraced by it, woven into its eternal fabric. The voices began again, faint but clear, no longer a chorus of countless tones, but a single guiding thread. It pulled at her spirit, not forcing but inviting, like a gentle current urging her to follow once more. She leaned forward, whispering, "I will follow." And as she spoke, the waters shimmered with a soft glow. The spiral was gone, but another path appeared, a line of light stretching forward like a road beneath the sea. Her vessel shifted, caught in the flow, carried gently onward into uncharted depths where mystery waited still. The light beneath pulsed in rhythm, guiding her as stars would guide a sailor across the open ocean above. Her hands gripped the edge of her vessel, steady, no longer trembling, for she trusted the sea completely now. The path glowed brighter, revealing shapes along the edges, vast shadows moving slow in the eternal dark. She did not fear them, for their presence was not threat, but guardianship, as if escorting her to her destiny. Some were massive forms, larger than ships, gliding with grace, their outlines glowing faintly with inner fire. Others were delicate, like ribbons of light twining through the water, weaving in and out of her path. Each moved with purpose, each part of the song, and she realized they too were fragments of the abyss's memory. Every being, every current, every echo was woven into this endless fabric, and she was now among them. Her breath caught at the beauty, for she saw now that the abyss was not empty, but overflowing with life. The current slowed as her vessel approached a vast opening, a chasm glowing faintly with distant luminescence. It stretched endlessly, wider than mountains, deeper than sight, a gateway into the very marrow of the sea. She leaned forward, whispering, "This is where it leads." And the song swelled, louder, stronger, embracing her. The abyss was not drawing her down to consume her, but lifting her spirit higher into understanding. Her vessel drifted into the chasm, its walls shimmering with countless lights, like galaxies sunk into the deep. She reached out her hand, fingertips grazing the water, and felt warmth, as if touching memory itself. Visions sparked again. Faces, lives, laughter, sorrow, flashing like fireflies across her mind, gone as quickly as they came. She gasped, but did not pull away, for she knew the abyss was showing her its truth, vast and unending. Her soul ached with wonder, for she realized memory itself was alive, pulsing with the rhythm of the sea. The chasm narrowed, guiding her deeper still, until she reached its heart, where the glow gathered strongest. There, resting at the center, was a throne not built of stone or coral, but woven from pure light. It shimmered with hues of gold and silver, blue and green, colors shifting as waves shift under moonlight. She trembled as she looked upon it, for she knew without words what it was. The eternal throne. It was not a seat for kings, not a crown to rule, but a symbol of remembrance, harmony, and peace. Her vessel slowed to stillness, poised before it, and the song fell silent once more, waiting for her choice. She bowed her head, tears falling freely, as she whispered, "I am not worthy, but I will listen." The throne glowed brighter, not rejecting, not demanding, but simply acknowledging her, a witness to eternity. And in that moment, she felt herself dissolve into the hymn of the abyss, one voice among countless eternal voices. Lysandra stood before the eternal throne, her vessel motionless, the abyss around her alive with silent anticipation. The throne shimmered, woven from light itself, not a seat of command, but of remembrance, sacred and eternal. Her breath caught as she realized this was the heart of the sea, the place where memory itself was born. The abyss no longer seemed vast and unknowable, but intimate, as though every current whispered directly to her soul. She placed her hand on her chest, feeling her heartbeat sync with the silent rhythm that pulsed from the throne. The silence deepened, thick but gentle, waiting for her to open herself fully to what was to come. She whispered, "I will listen." And as the words left her lips, the throne responded with a burst of light. The abyss glowed, its walls alive with shifting colors, as if the entire sea had awakened to her vow. Her vessel trembled softly, not from danger but from resonance, as though wood and water shared the same truth. Then the song returned, not distant but near, woven around her, carrying voices as ancient as time itself. Each note wrapped around her like a tide, pulling her deeper into memory, into visions the sea revealed. She saw a dawn long past, when the ocean was young, waves first learning to touch the newborn shore. She saw creatures rising from the deep, glowing and strange, weaving the first hymns of life in the abyss. The throne pulsed brighter, showing her worlds not above but within, hidden beneath tides never touched by man. She gasped as faces appeared, sailors, wanderers, dreamers, all who had once looked into the deep and vanished. Their lives were not lost. They had been woven here, threads in the endless tapestry of the ocean's story. Her tears blurred her vision, for she understood now that nothing truly perished. Everything was remembered. The abyss was not a grave, but a sanctuary, a place where all things were gathered and kept eternal. The throne brightened again, and her vision shifted, showing a pearl glowing within its heart, radiant and calm. The Pearl of Poseidon, the essence of remembrance, shimmered like a star, holding infinite memory in its depths. Lysandra reached toward it, her hand trembling, not from greed, but from longing to touch its truth. Yet as her fingers neared, she understood. It was not hers to take, but hers to witness and carry within. The pearl pulsed once, and light flowed into her chest, filling her with warmth, with song, with eternity. She gasped, clutching her heart, for she now carried the hymn, not outside but within her very being. The throne dimmed slightly, not vanishing, but settling back into stillness, as though its work was complete. The abyss quieted too, though the silence no longer felt empty. It was alive, vibrant, resonant inside her. She whispered, "I will carry it." And the words echoed outward, rippling across the abyss like living light. The current stirred, lifting her vessel gently as though the sea itself bowed to the vow she had made. Shapes appeared again along the edges, guardians of the deep, watching, their glow steady, their presence solemn. They did not speak, but she felt their approval, their acknowledgement that she was now part of their endless song. Her spirit trembled, not with fear but with joy, for she was no longer only a wanderer, but a witness. The abyss accepted her not as ruler, not as queen, but as listener and bearer of its eternal hymn. Her vessel began to rise slowly, the currents carrying her upward, out of the glowing chamber of the throne. The light of the throne grew faint with distance, yet its song remained within her, unbroken, unending. She looked upward, where faint stars shimmered beyond the water's surface, calling her back toward the world above. For the first time, she did not dread leaving, for she knew she carried the abyss with her always. Her journey was no longer about seeking, but about remembering, holding the truth of the sea in her heart. The vessel moved faster, guided by the current, lifting her toward light, toward air, toward the waiting horizon. She closed her eyes, whispering, "Thank you," as the abyss answered with one final ripple of gentle song. And though the throne sank once more into mystery, its memory shone eternal within her spirit, forever unbroken. The dawn broke gently as Lysandra's vessel rose, its bow kissing the horizon where sea and sky became one endless line. The air above was crisp and bright, yet it carried the lingering hum of the abyss she had left behind. She breathed deeply, filling her lungs with the world above. though her heart still pulsed with the hymn of below. The pearl's memory glowed inside her chest, not heavy but luminous, like a lantern guiding her through both worlds. She touched the railing, feeling the salt-stained wood, the familiar texture grounding her in the here and now. But her eyes turned seaward, where the water shimmered, holding secrets she knew would forever whisper her name. The abyss had not released her. It had embraced her, marking her as its witness and its eternal listener. The horizon widened, waves stretching in golden arcs, carrying both promise and memory across the waking sea. Above, gulls circled, their cries sharp and alive, reminders of life unbound by the weight of the deep. Yet she knew now that all things, above and below, sang the same song in threads too vast to see. She whispered softly, "I hear you still." And the sea answered, not with words, but with a shimmer of light. Her vessel moved steady, its sails catching a gentle wind, a path carved not by chance, but by choice. Choice to remember, to carry, to honor what lay beneath and what still waited ahead. The guardians had watched her, the throne had blessed her, but the journey was not an end, it was a beginning. For memory was not meant to be hidden, but shared, passed like tides from one shore to another. She realized then that the hymn within her was not hers alone. It was meant to ripple outward into the world. Every story she carried would live again in her words, in her steps, in the way she looked at the sea. Her vessel tilted, the wind shifting, urging her onward toward distant lands that knew nothing of the throne. She smiled, not in sorrow, but in wonder, for she carried with her a truth larger than distance itself. The Pearl of Poseidon did not belong to her, yet its gift had transformed her into its living echo. She would be its voice, its memory, the bridge between surface and depth, between silence and song. The sea shimmered, as if acknowledging her vow, waves breaking gently against the vessel's sides with timeless rhythm. She thought of the faces she had seen in the visions, wanderers and dreamers woven into the abyss forever. Their voices lingered within her, and she felt no loneliness, only the vast embrace of countless remembered lives. The horizon burned brighter, the sun ascending, its golden path stretching across the water like a crown. Her journey would not end at landfall, for the hymn would guide her to new horizons, new listeners. She closed her eyes for a moment, hearing both gulls and currents, both wind and the deep within her. She belonged to both realms now, never bound, always free, always listening, always remembering. The vessel surged forward, its sails full, as if driven not only by wind, but by destiny itself. She whispered once more, "Thank you," a vow eternal, her voice carried into sea foam and golden spray. The abyss below remained unseen, but she knew it waited, patient and infinite, its song forever alive in her. And as she sailed into the light of day, Lysandra carried the eternal throne within her, never to fade. The pearl's glow within her heart would shine across every horizon, an endless hymn of the sea, eternal. The journey was complete, yet unending, for memory never dies. It only flows like tides across the forever ocean. Her story became part of the song, carried in whispers, in waves, in stars that guide wanderers home again. The sea and sky joined as one, and in that union, Lysandra's vow lived eternal, the hymn unbroken.